Good morning, world. I am Judy, your web based therapist, making therapy accessible and convenient for our clients in Florida and New York, and of course, sharing information worldwide. Today, we're talking about 5 ways that the pandemic will impact seasonal affective disorder season. We've been talking about the winter blues and how, in dealing with it over during the pandemic. So, today, we're talking about 5 ways that the pandemic is going to or will likely impact the winter blues season. But before I get into that, I want to take a quick moment and say if you are subscribed, thank you so very much for being a part of our world. If you are not yet subscribed, please click the subscribe button below so that you can become a part of our wonderful world. And of course, remember to tick the bell so that you are notified when I post new stuff so that you don't miss anything. And of course, if you'd like to purchase 1 or 3 of my books, there's also a link below that will take you to a website that shows you all the different places where you could get 1 or 3 of my books. Okay, first, we're coming in with elevated stress levels because during the pandemic, we know that the number of people experiencing depression went super high during the pandemic. We went to At one point, I believe I read a CDC report that said it was more of it went from about it went from 1 in 6 that it was, I think, earlier in the year, and then by I saw a report a few months ago where it was like almost was half of the respondents of a survey that was conducted by the CDC. Reported that they were experiencing symptoms of depression. So depressive symptoms have been really high. Stress has been really high. So we're coming into the winter depression season with all of that. So that's going to impact the intensity of the depression that people are feeling. That's going to impact the number of people who are going to experience this winter depression this year. It's going to impact a lot of things because we're coming into gloomy winter seasonal affective disorder, winter blues, what's the other one? Winter depression season, with many people already experiencing high levels or some level of depression. 2, people did not get the opportunity to build those antibodies, that resistance there, where essentially many of us are coming into this season with an empty tank. Because usually during the summer, people have that opportunity to be out there to fill their tank. They're able to get that vitamin D, even though we still have to continue getting vitamin D every day. But at least when you're able to get a good amount during the summer, when you're not coming on completely on a low into the winter season. But because many of us we're not able to get out during the summer. We're not able to be as active and do the things that we normally would do. Where many people are coming with an empty tank, and some are coming with a half tank, some are maybe a quarter tank, but many of us are coming with less antibodies, less resistance, less of the cushion that we normally build over the course of the summer and the fall that can help people fight or resist or prevent that winter depression. Many of us did not have an opportunity to get that inoculation. So we're coming in with empty tanks, which means that many of us are at a higher risk because of the fact that we did not get the opportunity to do the things that we would do in the summer and in the spring to help us not be more susceptible to a winter depression. 3, access to the resources that can help that are normally available that people normally use may be more limited in many different ways. One of the things that I often recommend that people do is finding ways to get out and get some sun. And one, it's already winter and that's already limited, but because of closures and social distancing and things and whatever pandemic limitations or regulations are where you live, things may be limited. And even access to counseling, because a lot of times many counselors, many therapists have moved online. Many offices are closed and people now have to be online, which increases access in many ways. But for some people, that's not what they need. They need to be able, they want to get out. So that does not, although it helps to get the counseling, but it would help more if they were able to get out for a little bit and, go outside for a little bit. So, and things like meeting up with friends, that's one of those things that I often recommend that people do. But unfortunately, this time they may not be able to meet up with friends. They may not be able to do those things. So, access to resources that can help may be limited. So, people will have to work harder and try and be more diligent at getting the resources that they need to fight to combat their depressive symptoms. 4, increasing uncertainty, adding anxiety, because we've been in this limbo essentially most of this year, and we're continuing to be in this limbo. And at this phase where we are, we're not sure where we're going or when we're going to have some level of certainty happening. So, and it has been causing a lot of anxiety since the beginning of the pandemic, and it continues to add to the level of anxiety. So now many people will be experiencing that depression with anxiety attached to it. And it's not just the regular anxiety that they normally get. This is going to be an elevated level of anxiety. So these are things that people should be prepared for and be ready to address, because as we go into, and again, I always say, when you're not good, everything stings a little bit more. So now if you're already dealing with anxiety and then you have depression, or you had depression and now you're adding anxiety, yes, many people often experience those two together. But at this point, either one can intensify the other. So be ready, be prepared to deal with that, and be ready to do whatever it is that you need to do to address your symptoms. And most definitely, the moment you see symptoms, the moment you think that you believe that maybe there's a symptom, start dealing with it. Don't wait until it becomes unbearable, because at that point, you may not have the energy to deal with it. And finally, that prolonged and more intense depressive symptoms that many people will likely experience could lead to more chronic issues, because we are coming from a year where many people have been experiencing some level of depression, some level of anxiety, just over what's been going on, just from dealing with the pandemic as we have been dealing with all year. So now when you add to that seasonal effect, that seasonal depression, now we're going into a longer term depression. And that longer term depression could possibly lead to a more chronic issue. So that's another reason it's really important to do as much as you can to work through these symptoms, to get rid of these symptoms as soon as you can. I know I'm the one who always says, no, nobody's trying to, if someone had an option, they would not pick depression. I absolutely still wholeheartedly stand behind that statement. But I urge people to be push through as hard as you can. It's imperative that you do the best that you can to get rid of these symptoms as soon as possible, because the longer it is there, the greater your risk of developing a more chronic issue. Make sure that you do everything you can. Stick with your treatment, stick with whatever, enlist help. Sometimes people will they'll go to therapy, but they don't necessarily engage or enlist the help of friends and family. This is one of those situations where it's all hands on deck. Whoever is available to help you get rid of these symptoms, get them in there, get them helping you, because it is very important that you deal with this so that it does not become a more long-term or chronic type of situation. Okay, so let's do a quick recap. 1, we're coming in with elevated stress levels. Many people have been dealing with depression throughout the year because of this pandemic. So we're coming into a winter depression or winter blues season already experiencing some level of blues and some level of depression. So that will probably intensify things because I always say when you're not good, everything is essentially magnified too. Many people did not get the opportunity to build that resistance, to build those antibodies the way they normally would during the summer, getting that sun, getting that vitamin D, get it. Many people did not get the opportunity to do that because of the pandemic. So they're coming in with a lowered tank, and to for some people, it's probably an empty tank. So because of that, it makes us a lot more susceptible, a little bit more susceptible to what is out there. Um, 3, limited access to the resources that can help. Therapy has changed. Many therapists have now gone virtual. Access to therapy may even be limited by the number of people who are seeking therapy. Um, Stuff that you normally do to get out may not be available, so access to resources can be limited. For the increasing uncertainty is adding a lot more anxiety, which means that's just one more thing that people will have to deal with as they attempt to deal with this winter blues. And finally, prolonged and more intense depressive symptoms could lead to more chronic long-term issues. So because of that, it's imperative that we're making sure that we're doing everything in our power and not waiting to see if things get worse, but making sure that the moment you see a symptom, the moment you think that maybe possibly there is a symptom, get it addressed and don't wait until it becomes something bigger than what you can handle. Um, as always, if you or someone you know happens to be going through something that's more than you can handle, please remember that there are professionals like myself who are available, able, and willing to help, and are even providing remote services who can assist with whatever you may have going on. So please figure out who those people are in your community so that if you need them, you can reach out and get the help that you need. And that is all we have for today. Good morning, world. Have an awesome day.